Hey folks, welcome back to another review with yours truly, Sam Healey. Today we're taking a look at Stone Age Anniversary. Now, Stone Age Anniversary is, I guess it's the 10-year anniversary of Stone Age coming out. So 2009, I guess? I don't know. Anyway, this is basically a straight reprint with some expansion modules worked into it, and they're different than the expansion that has come out for the base game Stone Age already. So there's that. We'll go over each of those in a little bit, but for now, let's get down to the table. I'll show you how it works, and we'll come back with some final thoughts in just a few moments after that. So here I have a 3-player game of Stone Age Anniversary set up for you. Now, as you can tell, there is a snow motif that is going on here, and so that's a different from the original base game, and we'll talk about the base game a little bit more in the future, but right now we're simply focusing on Stone Age, the Anniversary Edition. Now, as far as basic gameplay is concerned, it really goes very similar to the base game of Stone Age. They haven't really changed the general flow of the game at all. It is very much a worker placement game where you're going to start with 5 workers on your player board here, and then you're also going to get 12 food with which you have to feed your workers at the end of each round. Now, during the round, each player will be able to take turns placing people out onto the board, and there are a number of different places that you can go. There are, first of all, 3 village areas here. So you can go to the tool shack and get something there. You can go to the reproductive hut, and then you can go to the farming hut that is over here. Now, this is where you create more workers. This is where you are able to purchase tools, and this is where you're going to raise your food production over here on the track, which means that you have to use less actual food each round. Then you also have these areas out here. You have the hunting area, and then you have these resource production areas here. Each place that has a certain number of circles is restricted to that number of circles. So once 7 people have been placed out at any of these, that site shuts down and nobody is able to go there anymore. In a 3-player game, which is what I have set up here, only 2 people can go to each spot, regardless of how many people that go here. So if one person puts out 2 and the other one puts out 3, that place is shut down. You can't go anywhere. In the village area here, you can only go to 2 of the 3 areas. The hunting area is always open to any number of workers that want to be sent here. That's why there is one kind of half circle out here and not the actual restrictive circles that are there. So on your turn during the placement phase, you can take any number of your people and put them on one spot or another. Now, of course, you can only put 2 people here. You can only put 1 person here. You can only put 1 person on these houses and in these cards down here. But generally, on your turn, you can place any number of your workers on one spot. Additionally, you can't go back and add more people to that spot later on. So you do have to be kind of judicious about where you're sending your people and how many at a time. And then once everybody has taken turns placing their people out on the different spots on the board, then starting with the person who has the chieftain, they do all of their places first, and then the next person does all of theirs, and then the last person does all of theirs. So when you're carrying out these different actions on these locations, you can do them in any order that you want to. So for example, this one right here raises my production, so that will simply come up 1 like this, and this guy comes back to my village. Then let's say I want to do roll for the wood production here. So I'm going to have 3 guys here trying to get some wood. So I'm going to take 3 dice and put them in the cup, and I'm going to roll them. All right, and then I take with the number that is here. So for wood, the number is 3. And I'm going to add these up and divide them by 3. And that's how many of that resource I produce. So I have 6, 7, 8, 9. I get 3 wood production like so. And then these guys come back to my village as well. And now I have one guy over here that is wanting to get this civilization card, and this civilization card costs 2 resources of any kind that I want them to be. So I'm going to go ahead and use him, and I have to spend 2 resources, which is going to be 2 of the wood that I just produced, and I get this card that will be for in-game scoring. Now, there are 2 basic kinds of cards in this deck. There are sand background cards, and then there are grass background cards. The grass background cards are going to be used for a set collection aspect. The more different kinds of artifacts that you collect, the higher the point total is going to be. The sand background cards are going to be things that you're going to gain points for based upon whatever resource it has. So for example, this card here is going to give me 1 point for every tool that I have, or each level of tool that I have. So if I have 3 level 1s, this is going to give me 3 tools at the end of the game. 3 points at the end of the game. But during the course of the game, it is also a 4-level tool that I can use once and then it's gone. Now, if I had gold, I could overpay for it, essentially, and just basically score 6 extra points for buying this card. I pay the 2 of whatever I want, and then an additional gold, and I get 6 points, because that's the value of gold in this game, is a 6. So I would be able to do that. But since I don't have the gold, I can't do that right now. But anytime you purchase a card, you can do that. And with that having been done, the green player's turn is over, and we go to yellow. Yellow wants to go ahead and do this one first, their production action, so they get another worker from their reserve, and then all 3 of them go back to their hut. Then we're going to go ahead and roll for production of wood here. So we take 2 dice and put them inside. And wow, look at that. So we have 11. So that is going to be down to 9. So that is also a production of 3 wood for them. So we put that over there. And then they're going to purchase this artifact card for only 1 wood. So they're going to do that. And that guy comes back along with these 2 over here. Now this card gives him an immediate 1 food that he can add to his cash all way. And then this one is going to be part of that set collection aspect that we have. And he can go ahead and put that face down in front of him so that that is done. That concludes yellow's turn. So now we move on to red's turn. And red only has 2 things that it's doing. He's going to roll 4 dice for producing stone. And then hopefully he's going to try to have enough stone to build this igloo over here. So he's going to roll the dice. And what has he got? He's got 6, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. And there are 5 is the total here. So he does have 3. He's going to go ahead and put those over here and then use them immediately to go ahead and purchase this igloo right here, which is going to give him no less than 19 points. So he's going to go ahead and move his marker here over to the 19, and now he is actually winning the game. So this guy comes back, and so do these 4 guys that did very well on their stone production, and that's the end of the round. Then the round is going to continue by, first of all, drawing civilization cards to refill the spaces that have done. First of all, though, these move over and become cheaper, and then we draw cards to replace. Now in Stone Age Anniversary, we have animal cards that are going to be difficult. They're going to make things more difficult because they're being a nuisance to the clan. So these are going to be placed out here next to the board so that we all know that they're there. Now, this becomes another spot that we can send workers to kind of fend off these animals who are bothering the village. Now, until we fend this animal off, it's a wolf, they're going to be doing -2 to all of our die rolls, which is going to make it harder for us to produce resources and so forth and so on. So what we want to do is we want to send people out here. And once, at least in a 3-player game, once at least 3 workers have been sent out here, that animal will be considered to have been driven off, and it'll go away. But everybody that does send people here will get to roll dice and get the rewards for having battled that animal and got them to run away. So that's animal cards. So these are set off to the side, and then we continue drawing to refill these areas like so. Now, additionally, at the end of the round, you also have to pay food for your workers, and it's simply one food for each worker. So in this case, I have to spend 5, but because I have one production of down here, I only have to spend 4. So I'll spend my 5 in and get 1 back, and that's done. Now, one more thing that I didn't show here, and this is another variation on the game, and that is these are fortified houses. So in order to build this 13 house here, you only have to do 2 bricks and a stone. But if you spend an extra stone, you'll score an additional 5 points. And so this one will be worth 18 points instead of just 13. But you don't have to spend this extra stone. Only what's at the bottom of the house or the hut is what is necessary. And that's the same thing that's over here. You only have to spend a brick, a stone, and a gold to build this for 15 points. But if you spend an extra stone, it'll be worth 20 points. And that's how the game continues until one of these stacks of houses is completely run down, or if the civilization card deck ever runs out, then that's also an in-game trigger. At that point, whoever has the most points is going to be the winner after calculating for artifacts and any of these extra in-game bonuses that are down here. Which can include a number of different things as far as how many houses do you have and getting a certain number of points. How many people do you have in your village? You get a certain number of points for that. How many points of food production do you have? And you get points for that. So there's a number of different things that you get points for, but at the end, whoever has the most points is the winner. Now, before I pack this up, I did want to show that there is another side to the board, and it is basically for use if you don't want to use any of those other expansions or anything like that, or if you don't care for the snow motif that is on the other board. You can see that the variations that are used here are gone, and this is very much exactly what the base game was to begin with. So you do have the 2 sides of the board that you can use. This one has the expansions printed on it and so forth, or the modular expansions that are there, and this one does not. So let's get to my final thoughts. So that's about that for Stone Age, the Anniversary Edition. Now, you guys already know, if you've watched any of my other reviews, or top 10 lists, or top 100 lists, or anything like that, you already know that I really enjoy Stone Age. It's one of my favorite worker placement games, especially because of how family-friendly it is. So I don't really need to tell you that whether or not I think this game is good, because you already know that it is good. But what I am going to do is take kind of a microscopic look at the actual Anniversary Edition and tell you what I think about it. All right, so we'll go ahead and start with some pros for that. Okay, so first of all, with my first pro is going to be the artwork. And there's going to be a couple of things that I talk about with the artwork, so just understand that the pro is the artwork. First of all, I really enjoy the look of the snow motif board that is on one side of the board. And with that being said, I also like the fact that they included the base game board on the other side of it. I love that they did that because you can take what you wish out of it. Now, with that being said, the board is double-sided. The buildings are also double-sided. So you have your snow motif buildings here, and then on the other side, you have the regular base game motif available as well. So if you can use either side of these. And on top of that, you have the fortified building expansion on these. You don't have it on these. So you can also pick and choose which one of those variations that you use, even on the other side. Now, if you do that, it's really simple to just detract that from the game. You simply just say that extra stone is not available for you if we're not using that expansion. So that's really simple, but I love the fact that the buildings are also double-sided too. Now, with that being said, my second pro is going to be the variations and mini expansions that are included with this game. The Stone Age expansion that was released previously for the other base game, the first edition, didn't do so hot, and I think it was because it was just a little bit too convoluted and people didn't really grasp or grok what they were doing there. And it probably just wasn't as fun. I didn't not enjoy it, but there you go. Horrible English, but you get what I mean. The mini expansions and the variations that are in this are very simple to understand, and they're thematic for the most part. The whole trading gold part is fine, but it just feels like you're overpaying for the card. So it just seems like a kind of a shoehorned way to get more points in the game, which I understand. It's fine. Everybody has the opportunity to do it, but it didn't really add too much to the game for me. And same thing goes for the fortified houses or huts, where you could spend an extra stone to get an extra 5 points added to the game. I get it. It's actually thematic because you do need to have a little bit better houses because of the cold and the winter. But again, it just felt kind of shoehorned in there. The Wild Animals is actually probably the most thematic mini expansion, with the igloos coming in second, as far as I'm concerned. So all in all, I like what all of this does. It doesn't change how the game plays that often. It just gives you more options to go for during the course of playing the game. And I love it when expansions and mini expansions and variations do that. It doesn't turn the game in on its head. It just gives you a couple of extra decisions to make during the course of your turn, and I like that. My third pro for this one is going to be the component quality. And the component quality isn't any much more, it isn't much grander than the base game, but there were little small things, like each of the meeples there were in the base game, they didn't have anything, they were just regular meeples, but in this one, they each have different shapes. Each color has different shapes, and each one has a little bit of a different illustration on each of them, so there's a little bit more of individuality between each of the different meeples, and even within each color. So I like that they did it. The other components of the game are all very sturdy wooden components, and they hold up well. The leather dice cup, I'm glad they kept that one. This one doesn't have an odor to it like the last one did, so they did better there. And then the wooden dice, also thematic, although wooden dice aren't my favorite, but I'm okay with them here. So component quality in this was really good. And then my final pro for the game is actually, I'm going to answer a question that I know is just coming around the corner. Do you need to purchase this if you only have the base game? Or maybe you have the base game and the expansion, do I need to get this? Well, first of all, you never need to get anything, especially when we're talking about luxury items like board games are. But with that being said, I am going to take a little bit of a thing here, and that I'm going to say this. I'm going to try to get my hands on a copy of this because this copy is actually going into the Dice Tower library. I'm going to try to get my own copy of this because I like how you have basically the base game and a standalone expansion in one box. And that's what I like about it. I like what the mini expansions do. I like what the variations do. So in this particular case, I think this is a situation where the Anniversary Edition can and will, in my personal collection, be replacing the base game. So that's a pro for me because not all Anniversary Editions do that. For example, I haven't tried to go out and get my own copy of the Ticket to Ride and 10th Anniversary Edition. It's really nice, but I don't feel the need to go out and do that. And I don't necessarily feel the need to replace this, but I really want to. So it's going to be something that I do. So it's a pro for me. And as far as cons are concerned, I'm really hard pressed to find a con for this game. I like everything that it did. I guess a minor quibble is, shoehorning in, getting more points. And I don't think that was a necessary decision that they made, but they made it, and I'm okay with it. I don't care, but that would be my one minor, absolutely small, infinitesimal, quibbly con of the game is that they're shoehorning in more ways to get points. Whatever. But really, that's about it. So all in all, I'm going to give this one a 9 out of 10. I think that might be an upgrade from my original Stone Age, but or it might just be a 9. But I really do enjoy this game, and it's the Anniversary Edition did well to refresh that love of the game. So I can't not give it a 9 out of 10. I'm very reserved for all my 10s, so this one is pretty high marks. So there's that for Stone Age, the Anniversary Edition, 9 out of 10. Go check it out if you absolutely can. And thank you for joining me. I certainly appreciate it. We'll see you guys and gals on the flip side. Take care.